issue in our healthcare sector, the ongoing challenges at Kingston Public Hospital, particularly as it relates to its operating theatres. Now, joining us is Dr. Thompson. Good morning, Dr. T.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm well, and I trust you are good.
I'm good, man. I'm good. And good morning to your listeners.
Very well. All right, let me start, Senator Thompson, with your own backdrop, well, the background, as it were, as to the issues pertaining to Kingston Public Hospital at this time.
All right. So I think what we have to look at is what our role is, especially myself as a healthcare worker. What is my primary role? And my primary role is to ensure that when persons come and see us, we offer them hope and we offer them the best service that we have to offer.
Yeah.
Now, the government's role is to ensure that we have all the necessary things in place and to resolve problems in a speedy manner. And to just ensure that maintenance takes place. Now, whenever we identify issues in the health sector, what we have to do is to come together as a group, administration, healthcare providers, to try and find a way how we can resolve them quickly. Because it doesn't make sense we talk about, this problem exists and we offer no solution, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to do that. So what we have to do is to come to the table, identify problems, and then identify solutions for problems. Now, this issue with Kingston Public Hospital, I think arises out of a chronic problem with regards to maintenance and various other administrative issues that have existed for a very long time. Now, the approach currently that we are trying to take as a government, I believe, is to identify the challenge, deal with it, so that we can get back to the business of the people. And right now, as I speak, we are waiting on a report about the status of the operating theatre to see if we can get back up and running this week.
All right, so just to be clear, at present, the operating theatre, at KPH, would you say there are several operating theatres?
Right, so for context, there are several operating theatres.
Yeah.
So in that space that is affected currently, there are 4 operating theatres.
Okay, so in the area in question, 4 are there.
In the area in question, there are 4 operating theatres.
Yeah.
But on any given day, they're up and running with elective procedures from 8 to 4. They also facilitate emergency procedures in one of those operating theatres. All right, so if an emergency
give our
arises,
listeners
then
an example of what we call elective, like when man come hospital with hernia or appendix issues, appendix being what, ruptured?
Well, appendix is an emergency. So if somebody comes with an appendicitis, that's more of an emergency. We're talking about hernias, we're talking about persons who may have prostate cancer that get a date for surgery, so various cancers that get a date for surgery.
Yeah.
Those kind of patients are elective cases. Emergencies are persons who may come in off the, outside, coming to emergency.
Trauma,
and they have
gunshot
appendicitis,
wound.
trauma, gunshot wound, stab wound, all of those things that require emergency procedures to be done.
Very well.
So that's the context in which we are talking here.
Yeah, man.
And so we can see how the theatres really, give good service to our people. Now, clearly, if the theatres are down, it is, a problem for everybody.
Yeah.
And when the problem was identified, persons met, and they crafted a way with a solution for the problem. In between, of course, because of the season, we've seen a lot of things in between. But our paramount importance for us is to try and get back the facility in working order as soon as possible. That is the government's priority and will continue to be the government's priority. to get the facility back in working order.
Yeah. And the operating theater, at least the disrupted ones or the affected area at present, is down, Dr. Thompson, on account of what?
Well, I think it's a few issues that really center around maintenance. And we're going to have to take a serious look at how we maintain. And I know the minister, the ministry, and we're going to have a really serious look on how we do maintenance. And I know the minister and the minister, they've looked at it, and they're in the process now of again taking a serious look, because with regards to maintenance, this is where we have an issue. And we have to rectify this issue of maintenance. And I think it's causing a lot of disruptions throughout the health sector. If we have, and maintenance is tricky, I'm not saying it's easy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just telling you what we need to have done. It's not easy, because we have equipment that has been there from, as people say in Jamaica, what we kill fill up.
Yes.
Been there for a long time. And to do the maintenance on this equipment is difficult in this 21st century, right? So it can be challenging. And in some cases, what is needed to remedy the problem is replacement of the equipment. And for your listeners, replacement of equipment like these can cost millions of dollars. So what we have been doing to keep the process going still is to try and maintain these things, fix them, right? So that the service can continue to keep running. In some instances, when you take a really hard look, it is going to require, just complete replacing, which of course is going to cause some displacement again. So again, what we need now is for all the stakeholders to come to the table, to devise a way, right, to minimize the disruption in the services and devise a way forward that is best for everyone.
I listened I believe it may have been sometime last week, Dr. Elon Thompson, to the opposition spokesman on health and wellness, Dr. Alfred Dawes, your colleague there in the medical profession. He made mention, there you go, your colleague and friend. He made mention, Dr. Thompson, that this is not a matter of who or what caused something to be the case. It is a matter of, you being there now, meaning the Minister of Health, Dr. Tufton, the government by extension, and therefore it may not have been our fault, but we are the people on the bridge. We are essentially responsible. I don't suspect that that's an observation with which you take issue, and so give us a sense as to any discussion or work that is now underway to overhaul, as you would have mentioned, some of these maintenance-related challenges that are confronting the sector in a spirit of, accepting and taking responsibility. So,
Senator Morgan, as you know, we are, and I've said it before, this government, this JLP administration, led by the most honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, we know that what is expected of us is a high standard. We know this.
Yeah.
And we don't shy away from that. We welcome it. And yes, he's correct when he says that we are in the time now where we need to resolve these issues, and we are aware. And steps are being taken to try and resolve these issues. Right? If we look throughout the health sector, yes, there are many challenges. And as I said, what we need to do is to sit down, identify them. One of the major challenges, and when you look at the operating room and why this is such a big thing, I know we're not charging customers right now. Healthcare is somewhat, quote unquote, free. There's no user fee.
Yes.
But in facilities that charge patients, like private facilities that charge patients, where the income is generated from, and we still have to treat it kind of like a business. Where the income is generated from is really operations, right? Radiological facilities, intensive care units, yes? These are the areas, these are the surgical, radiological, and intensive care areas that really generate income for hospitals that are so inclined to charge fees. And as such, same thing in the public health system. We have to prioritize these areas to keep them up and running.
Because those are going to be the high pressure areas.
Right.
All the diagnostic equipment and so on.
Right? Note I stayed away from more important areas because no area in healthcare I think is more important than the other. But these are key areas that will require resources to identify issues and really to keep them up and running. One of the major problems that we have is air condition maintenance for operating theaters, for intensive care units, but for these areas that require you to have air conditions working and to have humidity levels at a good level, satisfactory level, so that we don't have things like mold creeping in, right? And I think I had addressed that in the past. So you get mold when the AC doesn't work, the humidity is high, and you get a lot of moisture. This is what leads to mold growth. So you have a lot of moisture in the space, so like you have plumbing, that is, you have leaking pipes, you have all kind of moisture in the air. This is what you're going to have. So we have to have a comprehensive look at the spaces that exist to make sure that we don't have any leaking pipes, the air conditioning units are working, and that the humidity levels are acceptable.
Yeah.
And there has to be a comprehensive review, I think, for key areas throughout our hospitals to make sure that we don't have any problems like this.
I note one of the areas of considerable investment on the part of government, Dr. Thompson, is in the building out of capacity across the sector. There's some work that is to happen, albeit at a quasi-government facility, the UHWI. There is some work being undertaken where you are particularly familiar, Spanish Town Hospital. And we know what is happening out west in terms of the Cornwall Regional Hospital and Western Child and Adolescent Hospital. So give us a sense as to the degree to which this kind of strategic build out of spaces are intended to ease pressures on the system that many would say, continues to be under considerable stress, bursting at the seam in some respects.
And I guess I remember when this government came into power after a long period. And many persons were saying, boy, the government is doing so much, at a fast pace. As the government came in, they hit the ground running. And they were doing so much with the road repairs. Everything was continent. Simultaneously, the Prime Minister was saying, no, we have to push. We have to get everything going. Right? And, it's a similar thing now. And, the irony of it is, because this sector has so many challenges, you would get criticized for a lot of things that persons see as, significant. But at the same time, persons will mention that, yes, the government is building hospitals, building multiple hospitals, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to improve the infrastructure. This will take time, right? And if you don't see the end result every day when you get up and you're not seeing it, then, it's not there, it's not present. But you are being faced with challenges on a daily basis. Now, so that is, and we understand that. But there have been significant investments made in the human resource component through the public sector reform, where we've looked at improving the salaries for all healthcare workers.
Which pursuant to compensation review.
Exactly. So persons now would have been getting the higher salaries for nurses, the higher salaries for doctors, and that is irrefutable.
Yes.
And persons will argue about inflation, and we know what inflation rates are. That's told us, right?
Yes.
And we keep playing that, but the facts are the facts. This is the higher salary that healthcare workers have been getting. Yes? And there has been major investment in infrastructure. We're building hospitals. So, yes, but we are kept sober, of course, by persons, demanding more from us. And we respect that. The people deserve better. And the government is trying its best to make sure that they do have better. Right? So we welcome the constructive criticism, and we're looking to work, in a collaborative way to make sure that we get our healthcare sector in a much better state. But areas have improved, health centers have improved, the human resource component has been better compensated, the hospitals are being built, right? The maintenance continues to be a significant challenge for us, but trying to maintain old equipment is proving to be very challenging. And if it is that we're going to change all the old equipment to new equipment, it is going to cause displacement as well. So we have to sit and discuss the matters and just try and resolve the issues as quickly as possible, because the little displacement of persons as possible.
Yeah. So your rhetoric and narrative does not come across as alarmist, Dr. Thompson. I juxtapose that readily with that of, the opposition spokesman on health. But the opposition spokesman on health charges that essentially persons like yourself should not compromise, as it were, your professionalism and your foremost obligation, which is patient care, with your political sympathies or whatever assignment you may have in government from one point to another. What say you on that score?
Senator Marlon, I won't comment too much on that. Suffice it to say, since 2007, my role has been clear.
Yeah.
I'm a civil servant. I continue to be a civil servant. I continue to be civil and serve. And as a result of that, every day when I get up, right, good Lord gives me an opportunity to serve people, right? In my nature, it is one that I give the best of myself always. And there are many patients who can attest to that, and many people who have seen how I function and operate who can attest to that.
So in short, go ahead. Complete the thought, sir, Thompson.
Usually just make my work speak for itself, and I usually don't use too many words. As you know me, I don't like to be too verbose.
Yes.
I like to just, brevity is always my thing, and just getting to the point and really making my work speak for itself.
And what would you say of a thrust in terms of like a customer service orientation? Would you say that there is room for improvement where the disposition of men and women serving in the public healthcare system, is at present in terms of just patient care and service delivery?
I'm glad you highlighted this point, Marlon, because it is something, and I think even listening, I had the pleasure of listening to the Prime Minister while he was overseas, and I think he touched on this point, right?
Yes,
it is something that we're going to have to look at in terms of how we deal with our customers, i.e. patients. I know it is going to require some cultural change, but it is something that we're going to have to look at comprehensively, how it is that we treat persons when they come to institution. The matter of security guards charging patients at institution, the perennial issue, right? The security guards perform a key and vital function. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the perception that they charge patients at institutions, that needs to change, right? We need to develop, a real patient-centric approach to how we deliver health services. We have to double down on the customer service issues throughout our public health facilities. All the administrators, they need to double down on this. The perceptions of institutions like Spanish Town Hospital, for example, that does great work every day, but yet it is negated by the customer service issues that we may have.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the issue throughout our institution. How persons are treated, the experience that they have. Right? When they come to look for their loved ones, how are they treated? The experience that they have at the end of the day. These are significant challenges in the health sector. This is not political. This is nothing to do with politics. This is just how people relate to other people.
Yeah.
And it is something that we have to take seriously. How we deliver customer service, how we talk to people. benefit
just
side
being
of that is
sensitive,
patients and
yeah.
relatives.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to be sensitive to how people are going to
No,
relate to
the
us.
general rule of thumb, treat folk in the way you would want to be treated, or you would want your family members or loved ones to be treated in any setting.
Marlon.
Yeah.
I've always said that. When I see patients, I treat them like my parents. It could be my mother or my father who is on that bed. It could be my brother or my sister.
Yeah.
And this is how I've approached medicine from I started practicing as a physician.
Indeed.
And I think a lot of my colleagues would be best served if it is that they do it.
Do it that way. Yep. All right, absolutely. All right, we're out of time, Dr. Thompson. Really want to thank you for your perspectives this morning and your usual sobriety. Yes?
Okay. Appreciate you as always, Marlon, and see you soon.
Very well, indeed. All right, that was Senator Dr. Elon Thompson, listeners. He is a consultant urologist and a government senator. And, of course, he was weighing in on issues confronting the public healthcare system, particularly issues at the Kingston Public Hospital in terms of some, operating theaters that are down at this point in time. We're going to go to the break and come back with more of your calls here on the sound of News Talk 93 FM. We take your calls on at 212-9824 or 462-0919. Soon come back. All right, we're just trying to... Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Senator Morgan.
Hi, morning, Sir John. How are you?
I'm not doing bad, and you?
I'm fine, man. What going on there?
You know, I am making a public call for you to apologize to Jesse James Clark.
Jesse James Clark, I see.
Yes, on the 24th of May, you called Jesse James Clark statement when you talk about the water quality for reckless and irresponsible. And we have seen for the 24th of March till now, the amount of people who could have been affected by this water. I see that if you people never have the one thing I talk about is politics. But that's my brother. I respect somebody who talk about what is happening, no matter which party they come from. Because I am going to ask the NWC and the Ministry of Health. How is it that you can say what you? We have found these things in the water, but yet still there's no concern. There must be a concern. And you people who try to drag a young man, you know
what I'd like, and in fact, I would seek to have the NWC on the program tomorrow, John, because you're touching on a very important point. Because our supply of water is something that is pertinent to all of us. And what I want to be guided by are the competent authority on the matter. Because though you may have, so just to be clear, though you may have a particular bit of literature in front of you,
look here.
But I'm just completing a thought I'm making, right? The point I'm making is that at all points in time, I am guided by the competent authority and what the technically sound people are advising.
Suppose the competent authority, quote-unquote competent authority, is hiding something, are you still be guided by it?
If the quote-unquote competent authority is hiding something?
Yes. If this young man, look here, it's an NWC, they just accept the thing from the beginning. But
you're misguided, John, and let me share something with you. Let me just share something with you. Jesse James Clark made mention of coliform, which was I'm gonna allow you to speak and then I speak. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. It's a coliform. Why are you going to go E-Kyle? But I see him bacteria.
My brother,
so what they have done in the beginning,
coliform is the general.
My brother,
fecal coliform is speaking to the presence of fecal content or fecal material, essentially from animal waste, for example, or other. forms of fecal coliform.
My brother, if the NWC had come out the same time when Jesse James Clark come out and say, watch out, this is what is happening, because there's something. And today, they were talking about it, you know. It was mentioned from February. And because the NWC, they were just do the right thing. That is why the man come out and want the public about it. But if the NWC had just do the right thing from that time, what I say, yes, we have that problem.
So let us speak to the right thing now and inform the public while we're at it, right? Because that's what we do from this platform.
No, you know, I'm not
but John, we can't speak at the same time, my brother. You just spoke a while ago, me I get a brief look at talk, you know. So watch me now, my G. What we're saying is that there is a pollutant that may manifest in water, yes, known as coliform. You have total coliform and you have fecal coliform. What the NWC asserted is that Jesse James Clark was taking note of readings vis-a-vis total coliform and passing it off or suggesting that it was fecal coliform, and it was not so.
Right, okay,
the NWC stands by that. I stand by that.
Listen, why didn't the NWC come out the same time and say this thing? Why did I say it from that time? Why don't we wait until the thing blow up?
John, hold on. John, is a radio station that you love to hate that I heard this from, you know? I wonder if you understand that.
My brother, I'm listening. Look here.
A radio station here in Jamaica that you...
That radio station. Bradley Avenue.
It's same one, man. The bane of your existence. Bradley Avenue, the bane of the existence of some. Yes, go ahead.
Bradley Avenue will have 3.7%. That is not true. Look for them live at the time. 1.2. One told the people listen to them. But we have hundreds of thousands of people listening. Why didn't the NWC come and talk about that to the nation? Why don't go at that radio station?
No, I am joining you.
Let's move on.
Hold on, just before we move on, I am actually joining you, John, and concurring with you that the NWC, our premier utility vis-a-vis the provision and supply of water, yes, should avail itself of many platforms, not just Bradley Avenue. And I suspect it has happened in other instances. But I would also seek, for what it's worth, to get the NWC here to speak on this matter. Because just to be clear, what the NWC reported, John, is that whenever they have an issue that arises, the system is shut down, the pipelines are flushed, and essentially the treatment happens so as to avert the presence of any pollutant in the water supply. So the NWC is not suggesting that we may not have a pollutant at one point or another, but so soon as their quality assurance and their own tests ferret that out or detect that, you have an immediate shutting down and corrective action.
Why were they denied? Because they didn't
deny anything, sir. They moved to clarify, which is the point I'm making.
Listen to me.
Yeah, man, I'm listening.
On the 22nd, if you go up my Twitter account, you will see me raise the issue about the water contamination. NWC come out on my tweet and say, why not going to fall. If the NWC,
they were absolutely correct, sir, because the NWC is saying there's no feces, no fecal coliform.
No, it doesn't matter what is there. They shall come out and say, "What? Look at this is the problem we are having." That's all I'm saying for them. So once you start to pitch and put a piece, people not trust you. Them say you have something hiding. The next point, my brother. In the budget presentation, before I even go there.
Yeah.
Let me congratulate Kingston High School for their resounding victory. It might be because if we win by 1 point, it's a resounding victory. Because
they didn't win by 1.
I want to congratulate all the schools that took part. Because just to be there, you're a winner. were the eventual champions. Enough kudos to them. It's cool, all involved. But you know, I was saying during the competition, when I see San Diego, I know what I'm happy to feel win. They were in the same half which San Diego was. When we San Diego pull out and talk about breach, I was saying that I better them discontinue the competition. Because the Magates and the other schools who were beaten by San Diego must be feel cheated. Because San Diego know what they were, because you can't feel somebody that school from 7th grade, I don't know the English. So I was saying, boy, stop it. But you don't not stop it, I'm happy that Sitfield win. Because Sitfield and San Diego was like at 1-0.
We're in the same, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm happy them win. Not against JC. But so that's one congratulation. But the next part I'm moving to. In the first presentation, I hear the Minister of Finance the duties on armored vehicle will be removed. Not a lot of people in Jamaica can armored vehicle. So when you look at it, so we say, okay, there's a lot of money. They go with that deal. There's a lot of people bringing armored vehicle. But then, lo and behold, I hear that the government is bringing in 12 armored vehicles for the army. You know what? 12 armored vehicles.
So what's the problem you have with that? What's the problem you have with that?
I want to tell you the problem I have. When we Google the prices armored vehicle, they are between 750 US, 750,000 US to $1 million US, and if it's certain specific, it goes to 1.5 million US.
Yeah.
I am saying that our hospitals are out of ambulance. No, for our hospital, one ambulance for them now work. When we check the price of an ambulance, it's between 200,000 US to 230,000 US.
So John,
I am saying,
yeah, but
listen to the point. I am saying, we are in an health crisis. No matter what nobody wants, we're in an health crisis because people are dead because they carry an ambulance. And we get the stories over people have can't get it. I am saying, why is it that the government, because one ambulance, one armored car price could bring in 3 ambulances. So why the government? Because I said the war in Jamaica.
Yeah, so it doesn't work like that, John. You can't stop now. You can't stop now.
No, I don't finish it. I want to bring the point to you because I'm going to go spin my thing. I said, why the government? They are bringing 6 armored cars because they want some irritating. They want and they expect uprising because they are planning to give up the government when the PNP wins. Why are they not bringing 6 armored cars? I'm bringing 318 ambulance. Why? It's like the parity, not about the health of the nation. It's about the PNP and Holness.
Thanks for your input this morning, but guess what now? It doesn't work like that because you're not going to be allowed. Hold on, John. But we two we can't talk same time, man. You put your point a while ago, you talk your argument. So listen to superior argument now. See? Listen to superior argument and narrative now.
Your argument superior.
Yeah, alright, cool. So I will say what I'm saying when you would have hung up. You can suffice.
No, okay, alright,
cool. So what I'm saying to you, my brother, is simply this. Yeah? Government has a number of competing areas and competing priorities, and no John Pollock or anyone else from 89 Hollow Road is going to pit. Let me the point I'm making. Is going to pit one aspect of government and its strategic priorities against another. So I am the first to agree with you that Jamaica would do well were we to have more ambulances. And that is why, John, it is of paramount importance to manage the country's affairs in a way as is being done.
No.
Am I going to be allowed to speak or what?
No, I'm looking at somebody call me. I'm a mirror.
Somebody call us and make you hear what me I say. John, in short, John, government have to manage a country as is being done now in a way that secures the revenue. Yes, the same revenue Lambert Brown are complaining about, minimum wage and education tax and whatnot. When the revenue comes in, you're able to buy more ambulance, put more diagnostic equipment in the hospital and so on. Because armored cars, John, allows and enables the police to undertake imperative operations to keep the country safe and secure, so that we can have 35% and 36% reduction in murders.
Why do I buy 6?
If we bought 9, you would have said, why never buy 5?
Why do I buy
so
6?
I'm not getting into that arbitrary. John, nobody who has sense would get into that pitting of one portfolio against another. But we have to run. Come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll pick up on this. And come up with a couple other issues tomorrow. You can't pit one aspect of government against another. The Ministry of Health has a budget, and that budget is doing pertinent things in the Ministry of Health or in the health portfolio. Good morning, caller. Welcome to Straight Up.
Morning, Marlon.
Morning, Mr. Marsh.
You know, somebody said to me, so when next I talk to you, I have to take it easy with you, because they know that it's not easy for me to listen to the nonsense sometimes.
True, the word on nonsense. What other word you say? The lies. But I'm challenging you. I'm challenging you, Marsh, to point out one lie when I tell and one nonsense when I talk. That's one.
Yeah, several ways that people lie. Yeah, one of the lie. One of the big lie is when you lie by omission.
I see.
Yeah, that's one dangerous lie that lie there. Yeah? And you guys in the JLP is very, very brilliant at that. I thank God for people like Jesse James. And I thank God for people like Dr. Dawes. And I thank God for people like you too, you know.
You thank God for Dr. Dawes in 2015?
Yes.
When he highlighted the garbage bags?
Yes, I'm glad you go to it. And guess what it proved to me today? That man really come in the system to save people's life. Because even though he was sympathetic to the PNP, he never was in agreement with what taking place, and he come out and speak against it. Unlike Elan Thompson, who's still trying to support the slackness under his party that he supports. That's a big difference. You want me to tell you something
Sir Marsh,
more about...
before you tell me that something, I'm suggesting something to you. Dr. Dawes has brought to the nation's attention two different things that cannot simultaneously be true. He made mention some time ago about an attempt at poisoning, and he made mention some time ago, so nothing never go so. So we want to know from Dr. Dawes, for him to have any credibility in this country, which it was or which it is. Yes? When the matter broke, and Nationwide put a certain question to him, I believe in the last quarter of 2023.
This is where you will get me nasty. I don't want to hear nothing from Nationwide, because Nationwide
is on your side?
No, they are a set of political activists, and they are upset with the PNP, and they're upset with PJ Patterson, because PJ Patterson sued them. And win. And they're upset with KD Knight.
Is Ralston Hyman a political activist? Right? Is Ralston Hyman a political activist?
I know him as an economist, but I call you
to
say something to you, and you are take away. No.
Yeah, go ahead, Marsh.
You call Ralston Hyman. He always get it right, and I would like you to tell me when he get it wrong. And I will stop talking and I will just listen to you.
He gets this fundamental issue about, we call it recession wrong. A recession is a significant downturn in economic activity. Ralston must come and tell us how many people in Jamaica are losing jobs in droves. He must come and tell us that.
Keep your garbage and burn it. Don't care to Riverton though, because it will contaminate
move on to the next point. There's something else you really want to draw attention to.
No, why I respect Dr. Dawes so much.
Yeah, man.
He could highlight what go wrong under the PNP, but he want to save people's life, and he never have the tool to work with. And he see, if he ban a garbage bag around his waist, he could be able to perform.
Well, Marsh, I glean something totally different from that.
Can you hold on?
Sure, man, I'm holding on. Go ahead.
Yeah. and he could wrap that bag around his waist so that he could perform the operation to save life. And that this regime, the people then go away, sit on chairs and out there till them kin over dead, right? Because them who they are now not really serious about the thing. Dr. Bass tried to save life. You know, at the demonstration over Portmore, when the people they were demonstrating against the parish thing, what they come up with, I was there. I feel like my pressure up, and I went across and I said to Dr. Dawes, well, women was said, they're not paying no mind, so I wouldn't even listen to this now. But I went across to Dr. Dawes and said, Dr. Dawes, you have no pressure tablet anywhere with you? He said, no, I have nothing like that. And so what happened? I said, I feel my pressure up. Dr. Dawes said to me, said, go home, Mr. Gentleman, because I don't know my name. He said, go home and take your medication and rest. You see, all this what taking place here is excitement. Your life is more important. Leave, go home now. Thanks for the support, but go home now. I say, yes, this is a man who is here to save people's life. So Dr. Dawes, him not cover up as we want to really talk about. That's
so the question is this.
So
the question is this, Sir Marsh. What truly happened when Dr. Dawes attended upon a PNP meeting, I believe it was in Waterford, St. Catherine, or somewhere there in Southeast St. Catherine. Then he consumed something and had a bout of illness, and whether him or somebody with whom he was traveling had to attend upon a hospital for medical care. And Dr. Dawes, in the aftermath of that, reported to one media house, a media house that Mr. Marsh and others like to vilify and hate. He told them in no uncertain terms, said nothing ago, so there was no case of attempted poisoning. But some months later, Mr. Marsh, Mr. Marsh, I don't know, sir. I don't know. I don't know of that, nor do I know that.
You don't know nothing about the shot thing. Is that right?
But just to be clear, sir, to be clear, Zin, Dr. Alfred Dawes came some months thereafter and confirmed the poisoning, and we know that those two things cannot simultaneously be true. So he would have essentially misled in at least one instance.
You can remember, you can remember Andrew Holness give us any misleading statement?
You remember, no?
You remember that. It's all right, good. The Jamaican people...
He's showing us now that we can sleep with windows and doors open shortly.
The few who listening, because much people not listening to you. I tell you the truth, Marlon. Much people not really... Tell me something, Marlon. Marlon,
but Marsh, I want you to help with the listenership.
You're still collecting a check from our salary from the Ministry of Education. Are you still a consultant?
I collect salaries from many places, but the Ministry of Education is not one of them. So the answer to your question, Mr. Marsh. One thing at a time, man. One thing at a time.
Royal Reid is still a consultant.
One thing at a time. Sir Marsh, one thing at a time. The question in relation to the Ministry of Education, the answer is an emphatic no. And just to be clear to you, one of the things people like me observe, Marsh, are the things that people like you come with. Whatever people like Mr. Marsh and I'll come with gives us a clear indication of just how weak the opponents are at this point in time. You notice what John came with this morning? Some water thing, and him came with container upon sea 2 days ago. When you come with the things you come with, it makes me know what card in your hand. And your hand very weak. Your hand full of double. Your hand full of double, Sir Marsh. Full of double.
Royal Reid is still a consultant.
You have 5, you have 4, you have 3, and all of the double them dead in your hand.
Can you answer that, Marlon?
Second, if Royal Reid is still what?
Royal Reid is still a consultant.
Royal Reid, as far as I'm aware, is not a consultant to the government.
All right, I'm a consultant too.
You'll have to put that question to Mr. Reid.
But you're the man who know everything, you know. How about Grace McLean?
What about Grace McLean?
I don't know, me just ask you, because remember, you didn't know all of this, you know.
Oh, you didn't know all of this. That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yes. But this morning, you see, you talk about campaign and thing where people talk. Did you remember when the JLP was campaigning?
Yeah.
You remember the gas come to Jamaica and then some bad gas. You remember who did put it on? The PNP. You remember cement from the cement company.
So what have to do with campaign? What have to do with campaign?
Well, on. Only do with anything the campaign. You remember, say, only do with ball outside the cement bad and it was the PNP. You remember all of them kind of something there?
So Sir Marsh.
Remember, Marlon?
Sir Marsh, bad gas came and affected motorists. It was detected, and as we were saying at the time in opposition, motorists should be appropriately compensated. Therefore, now, is that something to which you object? You don't agree in principle that motorists ought to have been compensated for the damage occasioned by bad gas?
If so.
Yeah.
If so. But remember that you guys, Bobby Montague now, who the people are dumb now. If it's we buy the gas from ISIS, that terrorist group. You remember anything like that?
I remember that reference. I remember that reference. But we're running now, Sir Marsh. We're running now.
Yeah, run.
Yeah, man.
Right.
Because we're going to you can call back at 10:35, 11:35 rather.
No, call back. That's what we have many more things to ask, because remember some all one to Porsche, put up all picture with John Crop and I remember all them disrespect there,
Well, anybody who did that, I remember that vividly, Marsh. But anybody who did that photo.
Remember PJ Patterson opened the hospital long
Sir Marsh, we have to run now though to the NPR. But anybody who did that with Mr. Simpson Miller's image was misguided. That ought not to have been countenanced any at all. Anyway, we run to the break. We'll come back after with Kevin O'Brien Chang at 11:10. Sustained reduction in major crimes, in particular murder, across the island. Good morning, Kevin. You're with us?
Morning, sir. How are you?
Morning. I'm well, and I trust all is well with you.
Giving thanks, still above the ground, so giving
Very
thanks.
well. Absolutely, as you should. Well, we're delving into this area that has traditionally been of significant, focus and attention, Kevin O'Brien Chang, the matter of major crimes and in particular murders in the country. Your reaction to the recent developments on the crime management front, particularly the reduction in murders that we're registering as a country.
If you go by the polls, the biggest issue to Jamaicans has always been crime, except for COVID. 36 years I've been back in Jamaica, always crime, because naturally, the greatest human right is the right of innocent people to stay alive. Right? That's the bottom line. Government's first job, or any ruler, keep your people safe. And for the longest while, we have not been able to do that in Jamaica. Since 89, we had to say about 400 murders a year from 81 to 89. And it went from 400 something in 89 to 1,600 in 2005.
Yeah.
400% increase, 4 times, right? And I've had a tough time getting it back down since then. We had a brief period after the Dudus state of emergency, with the invasion. Under the state of emergency, murders plummeted. Andrew Holness went to, this is on tape, this is a video, YouTube video, anybody can watch. He went to Parliament and said, work with us. Or no, he said the video later. He said he went to Peter Bunting. Said, Peter, murders are down. Let us take a united front. Keep the state of emergency going. The police are crying for it. The gangsters are on the run.
Yeah.
Well, the JLP didn't bring the 31 needed to Parliament, and the PNP did not support. There are 29 agreed with the JLP. So both political parties betrayed the people. Yes, even the 2 PNP would have done it. So you could consider it a bigger betrayal then. But I put the onus on Bruce Golding to this day. If he had made sure he had a 31, the state of emergency would have been extended. And the police, I can't forget, back in 2015 or so, I saw General Major Anderson. He wasn't commissioner then, and he was lamenting.
He was brigadier
the
at
last
the time.
40 years we had the chance
to crush the criminals in 2010, and we missed the chance because of the politicians. He's lamenting. Fast forward, Andrew Holness becomes Prime Minister. Says, I want my people to sleep with their windows open. Right?
Yeah.
Murders went up under the JLP the first 2 years. In 2017 went to 1,600. But the state of emergency came in. Murders plummeted by about 20%. Right? You would think, hey, we have them on the run again. Let's keep
Sustain the effort,
so,
yeah.
the PNP did not support it, including Mr. Bunting. The murder started going back up. And Mr. Holness, I can remind people, he started this 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off thing, right? Because the PNP, it legally could do 2 weeks, and the PNP said they're not going to support it. And murder started coming down then. People have to remember, if they watch the figures, that is when you started to see the decrease again. So these people said state of emergencies don't work. They're not following the data. And the police always said, the security forces, we need a state of emergencies to get the violent producers behind bars, and then we can build the cases against them. Because when they are out, people are afraid to testify. I mean, that is why state of emergencies were needed, to put the known violence producers behind bars. They can build cases and then put them away, and that is what happened.
Yeah.
The other day there was an article about the police from the JCF. All major gang leaders in Jamaica are behind bars today. And that is because of the state of emergencies allowed cases to be built. So these people said states of emergencies failed. They're not looking at
quantitative and qualitative suggest otherwise.
Yeah, of course. The numbers don't lie, you know. Numbers don't lie. People lie. Numbers don't lie. And they have a famous saying, it's easy to lie with statistics, but it's much easier to lie without them. Anyway, so there we see the states of emergencies played a crucial role. But the other crucial role was, people were always talking about the crime plan, you know.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, Andrew Holness' crime plan is always simple. We're going to get the JCF up to full complement, the JDF up to full complement. We're going to build better police stations. We're going to get better equipment for the police. And we're going to get better management. And you put all those together, and so said, so done. The state of emergencies put the violence producers behind bars. They had more police, better equipment, better management.
And with the better equipment, you're talking about the technological advances that the JCF has at its disposal as well, Kevin.
Man. Yeah, and the exhibition is going to be, there was an exhibition last year, the year before, and there's going to be 2 this year. And the public can go see for themselves, you know.
Some of the technological capabilities.
How the technology has stepped up and all that. So, you know, in retrospect, it's very simple. More men and more boots on the ground, better technology and better management. And Anthony Anderson started it, did a wonderful job. And Dr. Blake has continued the great job. And incidentally, it's funny, a lot of people don't know this. Dr. Blake is former Commissioner Owen Ellington's first cousin. Not distant cousin, first cousin, brother and sister. And under Ellington, from 2010, 2015, 2009, murders fell 40%. Statistically the best commissioner ever. So maybe it's in the blood, Ellington and Blake. And so the Jamaicans have been celebrating that. We have not felt the safe since after Dudus. People are feeling safer. People are starting to walk around more. Let's not take any victory laps yet. We're still at about 26. The current rate, about 26 per 100,000.
In terms of murder rate, yeah.
Yeah, the first quarter. The Latin American average is about 20, right?
Yeah.
If we get to that rate, and Latin America is the most violent region in the world, so even getting to the average there.
It's still not a comfort zone. You want to get closer to the global average.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about 6. But listen, we're way better than when it was 60 and 50 per 100,000.
And in terms of numbers,
has fallen 7% 2023, 19% 2024, down 36% now. That's over a 50% decline in 3 years. Almost Bukalevsky, what do you call him?
In El Salvador.
Without the brutality.
Exactly.
They jailed like 1.5% of their population. I don't believe it's sustainable. It's going to create a lot of bitterness, anger.
You're going to have certain upheaval, and it's going to be counterproductive, perhaps.
I believe so. And you know, if you look at the imprisonment rate per 100,000, Jamaica is 135 about. Very low, Much the lowest in Latin America. And in El Salvador, it's 1,300. It's 10 times the amount. So people say they want the El Salvadorian solution. I don't think so. I think Jamaica has done a wonderful job of getting crime under control within the law. People talk about the police killings. Are we excessive police killing? But the bad old days had a lot of murders by the police. But we have Indicom now. Indicom is watching closely. And Indicom brought one case about the police, but the others, they have found it by the law. So we can say the killings, and as Andrew Holness has always said, you can meet your judge and meet a maker. And every time we see these men get killed, they have guns. And incidentally, so many of them have been on bail.
Exactly, wanted for very serious crimes too. Or in conflict to the law on account of very, very serious crimes.
That is right.
Murder,
our
shooting,
bail laws
and so on.
are terrible. They need to be changed, and I think they're going to be changed. But they're clearly letting back murderers on the streets.
All right. I want to put something to you, Kevin O'Brien Chang, because it is an observation made by my colleague in the Senate, Senator Peter Bunting, and it is something that I am describing as sleight of hand and intellectual dishonesty. This suggestion by him that the reduction we're seeing in murder is really on account of the police now being made to do, policing work, traditional and orthodox policing work, rather than relying on the imposition of states of emergency. Your response to that?
Well, as I said before, states of emergency were part of the plan. You had to get the violence producers off the streets so that cases could be built against them, because once they're on the streets, people were afraid to testify. How are you going to get them off the streets without a state of emergency? How is that possible? Because you can't build a case when they're out there. It was the only method, and it was followed by the law. Everything went legally. Some was found unconstitutional, and the law was, and the approach was changed. So we can say at every step the government has followed the rule of law. If they weren't, a case was brought, they stopped. So nothing has been done illegal. The police killings are a concern to some, not to the public. The public are celebrating. They say the public, I talked to a lady the other day, every gun they find is a life saved. That gun was meant to kill somebody.
Earlier this week, we had 3 taken out in Westmoreland and 3 taken out in a place in Montego Bay.
And no
some bleeding hearts
died.
came out.
Yeah, no angels died.
Well,
they were all wanted men. So Mr. Bunting, of politicians, of course, will try to gain favor. But Mr. Bunting forgets. There's internet now. There's Google. The facts are all there for people to see that the decline started with the states of emergency. And yes, the police are doing a wonderful job, but give Jack his jacket. Who has allowed the police to do their work without political interference? Because in the past, the big talk was always the police. I used to talk to them all the time. So we know who the criminals are. We take them in, we get a phone call. There was one famous gangster. He was arrested on murder, got bail, fled the country, got bail again, came back and got bail again.
That's right.
And people said it's wrong. So, but now for the first time I've seen a police force where there's no political interference. I personally interviewed Dr. Blake, a brilliant man. Right?
Yes.
And he said, I asked about the phone call. They say he would love to see them come try that with me. In other words, no, not under my watch.
There you go.
So it's simple. We have more police, better equipment, better management, no political interference. And our police force has been transformed. Remember the days of the Beast Man and the Babylon?
Yes.
Or the public hated the police? That's changed.
There's greater respectability now as well, yeah.
Respectability,
just the sheer capacity.
Their friends, partners.
Yeah.
And in the commas, the crass brutality with somebody watching, it's always the case when you have an independent eye watching people behave better. If Indicom was cursed at the beginning, but clearly they have made the police do their jobs in the proper way. And we don't want a society where innocent people are being gunned down. That's not
Indicom is a wonderful thing. Important check and
I must say one thing though. People talk about the murders. They should look at about rapes, and rapes are down like 60-70% in Jamaica since 2016. 16. We were once a high rape country in the top 10. We're now like in number 80s and 90s. The rape has plummeted.
Yeah.
And as Commissioner Ellington once told me, so the average person in Jamaica, the man is worried about being robbed and the woman being raped more than murdered. So we need to look at all facets of the safety. And then I want to bring one more factor. If anybody follows the Lapop, Vanderbilt studies on crime, comparing different countries, 20 different countries, Latin America, you know, Argentina, Brazil, all these countries, Trinidad, Jamaica. Because Jamaica is part of Latin America.
Yeah.
We have the lowest fear factor of all countries over 1 million people. Jamaica has the lowest fear factor, either how afraid are you, and the lowest actual rate of people being
victimized,
criminal incidents. So, as Mr. Ellington always says, Jamaica is a low crime country, but a very violent one, and the violence is done mostly by gangs. While less than 1% of the people in Jamaica, the crimes, the murders are committed by, or not, reframe that. The bulk of crimes in Jamaica are committed by like 1% of the population. These violence, known violence producers, and as slowly they're taken off the streets, either they meet the judge or the maker, we see the murders going down.
Yeah.
And while some are complaining about the police murders, the public, right or wrong, sees it as a reason to celebrate. Anytime the police kill gunmen, they said, yes, innocent lives are being saved. These vicious killers are being killed and they're saving innocent lives. That's a public view. There's no backlash on the ground, I tell you that.
Indeed. And in terms of numerically, Kevin O'Brien Chang, the Prime Minister, in making his contribution to the 2025-2026 budget debate just a couple of weeks ago, made the point that when his administration took office in March 2016, police intelligence would have been showing that there were just about 350 active gangs in Jamaica, whereas compared to March 2025, police intelligence is now indicating that active gangs in Jamaica are essentially in the order of 100. Is this not part and parcel of why we're seeing the sustained reductions in murders?
We are. The statistics always showed 70 to 80% of murders were gang killings. There's always there for everybody to see who wanted to see. And we know some of these gangs had political connections. They were protected. And what is very interesting, you know, the big gangs are always, let's face it, we always say the public.
One order and clansman. We don't have to mince words.
And the one other gang, you see about 2 or 3 dons have been killed this year.
Yes, I saw the police take out termite the other day from the clansman.
Clearly, there's no political interference anymore. And the other thing too, when you see it every day, like the other day, I had this shooting in St. James, 9 people got shot. 2 years later, 3 of them dead. As a man said to me, yes, man, the public is stepping up. The public were once afraid, you know. To talk when they saw crimes. They felt like criminals are the upper hand, they're in danger. Now they feel the criminals are on the run. They can go to the police because the police run things now, not the gangsters anymore.
Oh, there you go.
That is the feeling now that as it should be, the police are controlling the violent spaces of the country, not the gunmen and the gangs. That's a huge change. So it's a bright light for Jamaica. We have to make sure it continues. We do not want what happened in 2010 to happen again. We had, and you have almost at the throat, kill somebody. Well, it's a bad analogy, but I always have them down and out, and you let go, and they spring right back up.
There you go.
We come back, and we have seen it happen in 2010. If you look at the charts, it came right back up. And Mr. Bunting, even he got the after effect.
He enjoyed some of the suppressed numbers for a period.
In the last year of his tenure, murders were up 20%.
There you go.
Overall, murders are up 6% under Mr. Bunting. He did not reduce murders, and the last year we left 20% climbing. So when he talks about he has the solutions, the data does not support that. And one more thing, statistically, you can look at, I've done this, all the security ministers since 1989. The murders have gone up under every one of them, except for 2. Dwight Nelson, and he with the state of emergency, and Horace Chang. And with this drop now, Horace Chang is by far statistically the most successful security minister since 1989. Nobody else is even close. One time they thought he's sleepy and he must resign, and Gleaner had this fake poll on the front page, want to get rid of Horace Chang and Anthony Anderson. A warped poll. Luckily, people saw through that.
And the Prime
Nobody
Minister
called for
stayed
them,
the
and Dennis
course.
did a great job. And Horace Chang stands, the numbers show him the best security minister statistically Jamaica has seen ever.
Absolutely.
Numbers don't lie.
And then in the minute we have remaining, Kevin O'Brien Chang, Peter Bunting is recalcitrant, quite reluctant to attribute credit where credit is due in terms of the sustained reduction in murders. What do you make of
Politicians are
that?
like that. But Mr. Bunting, if you don't want to give the credit to the JLP, as I understand you're on the PNP, you shouldn't say something that is nonsense. You shouldn't say things that people can show the date and show that it's absolute garbage you're talking. When you don't want to say something good, at least keep quiet. Don't say something foolish and nonsensical. The people will just lose respect for your comments. You're a brilliant man, Mr. Bunting, in private life. But as a politician, you're not that smart. You don't say the right thing at the right time. That's all I will say.
So some
Mr.
question
Bunting, I
about
like it. I know him
transition.
personally, you know. He's a nice man.
Yeah.
Politically, though, he keeps saying the wrong things. He's not smart politically.
That's what I mean. All right. Thank you so much for those insights this morning. It was a pleasure as always, Kevin.
No problem. Take care, Chief. All the best. And let
good.
us hope
Yeah.
we stay united as a country and kill this crime hydra and become one of the safest countries in the world. And we can see that if people love Jamaica now, and when the eyes murder rate for so long, imagine when we see
It will be a different country. And we need to stay that course and keep in that regard.
Man, take care.
All right, all the best. That was Kevin O'Brien Chang, listeners. He is a public affairs commentator and businessman. He was speaking to us there on the crime management situation here in Jamaica. We're going to go to the break and come back with more of your calls. Just to remind you of the numbers and invite your calls, do call in. We are at 212-9824 or 462-0919. Stay with us.
You know, if they're gonna come up with a dress code. Because I see some boy going even yesterday at meeting. Yeah, I think I Central and
Central
when
High.
you see where the waist of them pants is, it's below the bottom.
That's not a question of dress code per se. That's a question of basic deportment where I'm sure on the grounds of the school, these guys are not able to carry themselves in that way. But I know it going school over now and people go bathroom.
No, it's the pants or the pants make you can't alter before they go in. It's the pants where the waist the way below.
No, man.
I'll never get what I'm saying.
So I'm trying to get what you're saying in terms of how the pants make.
The pants, you know the pants where them are way below them bottom, man.
But
Where
no.
you can't walk in.
But isn't that a function, not so much of how the pants is made or tailored, but how they wear the pants in terms of not them dry down?
That's how the pants is tailored. It cannot go up to their waist.
Oh, it cannot go up any further. I see. Well. So that's
It's
a clear
below
no-no
the
then,
bottom.
because what you're suggesting, sir.
All of them bottom are show.
Yeah,
So what
man, I
they
get
do
you. I
is
get you.
use the shirt now to cover that section. But they can't walk. And what they do, you have kerchief, they tie up their head. Tie their head with kerchief. And that's the way they go into school.
Oh boy, I don't even know how else to respond to that or react to that rather, because what you're describing.
And I just central, you know, because I see that up here too. You got Claude McKay.
Fogar Road, isn't it?
That's how a lot of the boys them dress.
Oh boy.
So we have to decide, you know, if we're gonna allow things to go down to a level where we're not gonna be able to be correct.
And based on what you're describing, if we are to go by what you're saying, Carla, it would be imperative for the school administration to make it very clear to these youngsters that this business of the pants not being worn at the waistband, but essentially weighed down, on their buttocks, is that does not go work. It not go keep.
You see, what happens, you know, if the school start lock them out, then you have a demonstration, then you have to have people coming out and say they have the right to do whatever they want to do. And there's a whole lot of problems. So what French teachers, them, they just fed up who can go away. But they are not having any confrontation with students because they will kill them too.
Well, that's the other thing. This
Yeah, they will kill them because these guys are
for their
deadly
safety.
youths. A lot of them are deadly youths. They are under drugs for one. Because even girls now smoking like a cigarette and ganja, you know. Even in the town, you see them buy them cigarette and thing and the plaza smoking.
They really have vendors who sell these things to kids in uniform in particular.
They go and shop and buy it, man.
No, sir.
And nobody not troubling them. You have even primary school children now where you have a kind of jelly sweet with vodka in it, and they're selling that to school picnic, little school picnic, primary school picnic too.
You're saying this is some form of a candy like.
Even rum. What they're doing now, you have vendors who put the rum in like in the Coca-Cola. So you see a child like drinking Coca-Cola at school, and not Coca-Cola.
This Coca-Cola mixed with
Coca-Cola with rum.
So in what form would that Coca-Cola be served? Is it in a bag like how we used to buy suck? Or
No,
because Coca-Cola no come
buy-
pre-packaged, man, in a bottle. So how they present the product that they sell.
What the vendor do, you know?
Yeah.
The vendor selling the rum. So what the student will do? Drink out some of the Pepsi and then throw the one drink or whatever.
So that are going at vendors at school gate? Yes. Wow.
Yeah, it's happening, man.
You're bringing something to my attention, Carla, because that's very risky. Because as you know, when a student does that, anybody with them come into contact with can actually smell the alcohol on their breath. And so
that is what is happening. You see,
huge-
when you have like sports at the various schools, the amount
fear and all
of
them
people
thing
were
there.
drunk. Girls and boys were drunk. And then after they have them big dance.
Yeah, man, because you know, on a sports day or fair, you know, the music playing aspect of it is a highly anticipated aspect of the thing.
You know, say even at primary school level, you have what they call disco room. But like a picnic pay if you go in a disco room, and when you hear the music, then what them a play and watch it, picnic them a wind up themselves inside it.
You make a good point, Carla, because there is a legitimate basis for fundraising via what is called a music room or a disco room, like a disco hall. There have to be boundaries, however. You cannot have that kind of inappropriate gyrating by children, and you cannot have lewd music. So some of Spice's content, for example, and some of the other content, Gunman, Inshi, whatever, not fair playing at that space.
Because you see, what happening, you know, the people that control the set, most of them, I don't know why I even use the word illiterate, but those guys that believe that if they're not playing slackness,
they're not getting forward as a DJ. Yeah, man, the session now go hot.
Right. So at them type of song that they're not going to play, I know I can. You are the one that them song they're not play. And the lickly spitting and the dirty songs them they know. And I hit them, I go for.
Okay, here is a good point, because when they're at the taxi stand, at the terminus or in the taxi or the music bus, the
so you find
15-seater them.
Because you have some bus, you know.
The so-called hot music are playing at them.
Yeah, man. They play the nasty songs and the girls them sitting at boy them lap and then buy them romance and then drink and start and nastiness that takes place.
You seriously observe them, Chief.
I mean, but you have people, you have police officers that need to come to like the school gate, disguise themselves and see who are
like out of uniform, just come and be like a little, you know?
Yeah. And you're just shocked to know the amount of drugs. Because for some of them make their money, you know. You see them without us like them as well bun. You think a bun? And beyond that.
Oh, some of them are brownie, weed brownie.
And this one is a ticklish one. The water supply all over Jamaica.
The water what?
I'm not just in a Kingston.
No,
if you should have run a test.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to test, let's say, E. coli, bacteria, or whatever, that might be a misleading reading.
Yeah.
What then needs this test is the amount of different compounds where you find in the water supplies.
In the sample. When you say different compounds, give us a couple now.
Like you just say nitrate, phosphate, different things. Even like glyphosate, all of them compounds.
Different. Yeah. What are some of these agents?
Sewage, bauxite, lead,
runoff. Yeah.
all of them stuff. They can be found in our water supply all over Jamaica. Especially in the limestone area, but the drainage is very good. Even if they say they bind the pond with clear whatever, you still have
seepage,
leakages taking place.
Yeah, which is why the treatment, that treatment process, the distilling of the water process has to be.
But I'm telling you, sir, the treatment process that we have in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I think you people need to research. And I think it take out if we can't clean up the water in terms of dirt and so on, and then they add chlorine to kill the bacteria. But what happened to all the penicillin, the glyphosate, and manure or whatever, we're inside the water? And I forget what I'm saying.
I see what I mean. So you're saying there are some agents that do not respond to the water treatment process?
Right. Because what we are doing, even our own from Chatter, I can tell you, after I go to like a sand process, right? Not even sand, some stone.
Which is, we call it again silt. When you try and, remove silt and thing, yeah. Sand and them something there.
Right, that's like a filter part. It go into a tank, and the filter hose not working. They abandon the filter hose, so they add a little chlorine to the water.
Yeah.
If you go up there, you don't drink that water, because when you see the amount of junk when live upon the trees and the remains all over the place, when rain fall, all that dirty water run right down
into the tank
into the source, and the concrete.
Oh.
The concrete, and you can see the water running and the stone.
Which area is this, sir? Which area is this?
In the Frankfield area, Kata.
Oh, Kata. So this is Northwest Clarendon.
Because a place where me go and a place where me take pictures. Students up there too. World Pass students. Me have pictures right now up there. It's not concrete or anything. So when you have every rain, the water dirty, because all that dirty water from the hillside run right down into the source. So we are playing around with the health. It's just God saving us.
There's something I've noticed. There's something I've noticed, and it's increasingly so. There are a number of Jamaican households now that really don't even drink water from the pipe. The water from the pipe is really for cooking purposes
again too. Sometimes
cooking purposes white. And what do you call it? Other domestic use in terms of having a shower, flushing the toilet, doing your laundry, cleaning. That's but many households now, it's either they buy the bottled water or they go with the 5-gallon container and do filling.
I joke.
Yeah, man.
I joke.
What's that?
Research now. I'm telling you that especially if you have the bottled water out in the sun and you drink that, the amount of microplastic in that is deadlier than you are drinking the water from the spring.
Yeah, man, I've heard that too. So the plastic containerization of fluids is very hazardous, and it's not just for water, it's for other beverages, any fluid.
Right.
Because when you have the cran water or the iCool or the Coca-Cola, you name it, soda, you name it, right? When they sit in heat and whatnot, to the extent that they are in a plastic packaging, microplastics seep into the fluid.
Yeah, even in one where these people sell it, where you go buy coffee, also in this hot plastic thing. Amount of microplastic in that.
That's why I don't even like when you buy soup in the plastic something. Like if you go juicy
you're
patties,
not supposed.
And you're buying soup.
That's why we need a good scientific research council out there,
Yes, a point you made that point before, because the idea is that there are several things that are not good for us. Is the other day, some years ago, I was learning of foil, aluminum foil.
Yeah,
very
even that.
harmful, very hazardous. It's like how we used
Yeah,
to call
even with aluminum pot.
remember your name again, Chief? What's your name again?
Louis, man.
Louis, yes, sir.
But sometimes we chat on different topics.
I know, man. And your topics are typically sober and spot on. I will appreciate that. So you remember we used to, well, not remember when, because something that happens even to this day. Roasted fish. Would come, so boom, apply a little butter or so to the foil paper, then you place the fish in it and then wrap up that and put it on a grill or a hot surface. Or some people put it in the oven. So when we make roast fish, that fish coming into contact with the foil is not something that is, advisable and good for us.
Yeah, the aluminum is toxic to your body. So even when we are cooking an aluminum pot, we shouldn't be doing that. It's iron pot. And unless people will be suffering from iron enough, because some of the iron will be going into the water. That's why all time people used to put a nail in the water. They know why they used to do that.
Oh, so what the nail do?
And nail has a certain amount of iron. So some of the iron would go into the water.
Okay.
The same iron what your body needs is the same iron in iron itself,
Because some things to avoid, before I come to that, some things to avoid, Louis, from a pot and pan standpoint, would be aluminium pots, and of course non-stick one, the ones them that are so-called non-stick.
Yes, and the lead one, them too.
The advisable pots and pans, I gather, are cast iron pots,
but the ones
stainless steel,
anything having lead,
and ceramic. Anything that having lead.
Right.
Yeah, man, sure, absolutely.
Lead is poison,
Yeah, man, you stay far from
and
that.
And a lot of this iron where they might take and melt up. That nobody not even check to find out what they make those metal. Anyone who having lead would be detrimental to us, our brain and so on. Another thing we're not good enough, and they're finding out now too, apart from vegetable oil, is margarine.
Yeah, touch base
with
me last week or week before on that.
They have now found that autism is linked to margarine, Before they started with margarine, autism was very, very low.
And tell me something, Louis. When our folks start out the Christmas cake, when fruit cake are made, what do we start out with when fruit cake are keep?
No margarine.
And the sugar. So you're saying that margarine, that same something there, where
it's not
big in our fruit cake is hazardous.
Yeah.
So what would be an appropriate solution? What would be an appropriate alternative?
They can Google it,
Yeah. But Sir Lou, what would be an appropriate alternative to the margarine?
Hydrogenated oil, When man make the oil reaches solid state.
Yeah, man, take out the water,
it damage the molecular structure and it's not good for us.
And then, Sir Lou, what would be an appropriate alternative to margarine? For example,
butter.
So the same
the
chiffon.
Same one where them are saying no good.
Yeah.
Anchor butter and whatever. That is a good one.
So it's better than the margarine, because the margarine has a much lower price point.
Than the margarine.
So we can't allow the lower price point to do us harm. It's better to make the fruit cake. Although it's going to make it more expensive.
We have bioviolence now, the fast food and we use back the oil over, the fire oil over and over. We don't know what we are doing to it.
All right, I hear you. But in terms of your own water, do you use water from the pipe or do you typically use...
Yeah, I use it,
So is there anything you do with it to kind of make sure, say it,
purify it.
On the up and up? Yeah.
I tell you the truth, I don't really do anything to it because, let me tell you, you see, when you're using something over a period of time, even some people live till 100 or other, and when you see, where they go take them water, spring, and them with it. It's like your body gets immune to certain things. But in terms of the bottled water and something, really, I stop use plastic, put no water in a plastic bottle in the fridge. Put them in
a glass container bottle. Is advisable. And even food containers too, Louis. The advice is that you must store food in glass containers if you have if you're heating up food.
Those people were poor and I drink them tea out of all plastic cup. No man, buy a char cup, man. Dear.
Yeah, because you can, just like the plastic cup, you're going to wash it and use it over and over. So let's avoid plastics then, my G.
Yeah.
Lewis, there was a container that washed up a few days ago. You saw people on social media help themselves to the fall. Give me your views on that now.
Well, that one is a puzzle. How could a container just drift and reach out there, sir? Because remember, say water pretty shallow coming up to the
shoreline.
How did it reach there? It's a puzzle to me. We can't figure that one out.
But you would consume the fowl, eh?
That's a big question. I don't think so.
People take a serious risk because it would appear that some of it was still frozen, or at least what they pulled from the container appeared to have still been intact. Yeah.
There's a song where say, guess who's coming to dinner? Everybody, man, a party, man. Every man happy, man.
The big bonanza out there. And, of course, on social media right now, a lot of content surrounding that chicken business. Apparently, enough people still have it in them fridge and all about. And you see all kind of videos being made. Some of them fake. Some of them is just regular fowl them having a bag. And I pretend say it is the Perdix chicken when it is not so.
But say people are eat work on that. Enough people go pick up all Kentucky sitting with dump garbage and go eat it,
Yeah, man, me say I'll follow the Riverton man, go wash off chicken foot with vinegar or whatever. Sometimes the meat blow me here.
And in order to survive, and people don't know if you cook it well good.
Okay. All right, I want to squeeze in another call, Lewis. Thanks for your views this morning, as always, my brethren. Cool. One love. All right, we're going to go back to another call. I suspect this may be our last for today. Morning, caller.
Morning again, Marlon.
Yeah, greetings, sir. I'll go
Marlon.
on. Yeah, man.
I was talking about people washing off fowl and from Riverton and all of them things and pulling fowl from container.
Yeah.
It show the inequity in the society. How one set of people, a little minority of people, having it so good. Wife and husband and have millions are going every month to their house, while some people have nothing. Right. So that is the inequity and the disparity.
All right. So the question is this:
and the apartheid Jamaica that we run.
Oh
both
God.
in education and in food.
Oh
right?
God. So tell me something,
Al.
When Mrs. Simpson was Prime Minister, when a truck turnover, would you see people running to grab up the cement, the liquor we turn over? I remember some years ago, one of my brethren with whom I play cricket.
I do not have I drive a car and I look through the wayview. I look through my mirror, not the wayview mirror. Because
we don't look through the wayview mirror, we crash. We glance in the mirror, my G.
Yeah, I look through my mirror.
But watch me now, the substantive point I'm making. The substantive point I'm making, Zane, is that in any circumstance, if something turn over, wash up a shore or whatever, people are going to come run out, come scrape up the cement, come scrape up the liquor.
That I am pointing out is the inequity where have wife and husband control parish and wife and husband control parliament and executive, to the point by which a discussion in a committee by which a wife is a cheerleader. And after the discussion in the committee to do with Portmore, the wife turned back and sent email go to the EOJ and directing the EOJ as what to do. These are the kind of cronyism. Well, after one, I want to make the point.
So you get about your time and occupy yourself with all kind of nonsense. So much so.
Yes, the truth, because it's a nonsense. That's why I'm
so much so that what you are arguing, but what you're arguing, is that people scrape up the chicken the other day because of inequity and whatnot.
Yes, that is what
people will always do opportunistic things, my brethren. So whether PJ Patterson's Prime Minister or Portia Simpson, if a truck turn over, people can go scrape up the bun and the bread we are carrying at the bread truck.
The philosophy of prosperity, that's what the church is doing. the false church them is doing and telling people about the prosperity doctrine. And then the pastors are getting rich.
When you come with these kinds of points, Zane, it's not scoring any political points. In fact, I believe it is doing more harm than good.
Marlon, the pastors are getting rich with the prosperity doctrine. And the people getting
I would suggest you open a church and try a thing.
No, man, you don't suggest what I do.
Why don't you open a church and try a thing?
I go to church, but I don't preach prosperity doctrine, because prosperity doctrine...
All right, speak the poverty doctrine then. Any doctrine that you find advisable, speak that one there.
No, I preach the true gospel.
The gospel of the true and living God.
Anyway.
Well, that sounds good. But if you're running now, I get a wrap-up signal.
I just want to make this point before you run.
10 seconds.
You brought on Kevin who write one book and not even wife by one in order to talk about crime. All that I'm simply saying, Marlon.
Kindly go and buy the book so that we have at least 2 sales.
You have 222 people dead since the year, and that in 7 countries in Europe. Are you talking about we're not fighting what you call a civil war? It's better for us to be fighting a civil war.
All right. I get in wrap-up signal. I must thank my producer and broadcast technician, Tanya Richards, for the support this morning. I want to thank our participating guests, our callers, and of course you, our valued listeners, for having made it straight up today. To advertise with us, please call our sales agent at 876-427-9955. This has been Straight Up. I am Marlon Morgan. Join me tomorrow morning when we do it all over again, right here on the sound of News Talk 93 FM.